It's a worrying development. It's the first case we have had, right-wing extremists targeting Muslims. This boy is 16 years old, but he was extremely serious. He drew his inspiration from Tarrant, the man who attacked the mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, 2 years ago. The violent impulses, I've said this many times, is not restricted to any particular racial group or religious group. It can occur amongst anyone. It's really a question of being exposed to hate speech and then being influenced by it. And it's also worrying that we are picking up young people. And since 2015, we have picked up 7 young persons under the age of 20 under the Internal Security Act. 4 were detained, 3 have been served with restriction orders. They access the internet, they get self-radicalized. This boy, heavily influenced by hate speech and online calls for violence against Muslims. He watched the live-streamed video of Tarrant in the Christchurch attacks. He read Tarrant's manifesto. He planned very carefully, and he wanted to carry out his violence at two mosques, which he identified, on the 15th of March, which was the second anniversary of Tarrant's attack in Christchurch. And, he told ISD when we interviewed him, it was quite chilling. He told them, ISD, that he saw only 2 outcomes for his plans. 1, he could get arrested before he carries out, or 2, he will be killed by the police while he was executing his plans. So he went in fully prepared, knowing that he's going to die. And he was prepared to die. And he wanted to get firearms. He was researching, he wanted to get explosives. He researched various options. But, in Singapore, it's very difficult to get firearms. So he then decided that he will use a machete for the attack. He watched videos on how to attack with machete. He aimed to target the arteries of the victims so that he can kill quickly, slash the neck and chest areas. He also bought a tactical vest to wear during the attack. He planned to strap mobile phone to his vest so that he can live stream his attack. He conducted online recce of the 2 mosques, worked out the travel routes and entrances, and he planned to get a car to get to the mosques, even though he was underage. So really the question is, how do you prevent if a person on a day decides that he's going to attack mosques or churches or temples? Our gun control laws mean that people like him can't kill a lot of people at one go because we have very strict laws. But carrying a knife and deciding that you want to do something, it's not going to be easy to prevent every single time. And if such an attack had succeeded, it's likely, what's likely? It's likely to incite fear, conflict between our different racial groups, religions. Police have, for 6 years now, considerably enhanced our counterterrorism response capabilities since the November 2015 attacks in Paris. We have planned for it differently. We cannot be everywhere, so the concept of operations has changed. Its ability to get to wherever the attack is taking place quickly, and a deep understanding of the different kinds of layouts that are likely. But I have to say, ISD has been extremely effective in picking out these people so that the attacks haven't even taken place. But in the end, they have to succeed only once. ISD has to succeed every single time. So far, everything is peaceful. People carry on with their lives because the ISD has been extremely effective. But, how do we weed out or find out every single person who wants to do something like this? I have asked ISD and MCCY to engage the religious organizations to be more vigilant across the different religions. And advisories have been issued to religious organizations, strengthen their crisis preparedness, to be more alert. Really, if you look at how this is coming about, on the one side, of course, you've had the issues in the Middle East, the terrorists who, in the name of Islam, have been doing unspeakable things contrary to Islam. Most Islamic religious scholars will tell you that's got nothing to do with Islam. And those people are not true Muslims. On the other side, you've had hateful manifestos from the right wing. You had Anders Breivik. He killed 77 people in Norway in 2011. You had Dylan Roof, the American white supremacist. He killed 9 black parishioners in South Carolina 4 years later in 2015. Both of them influenced Tarrant. Tarrant, in turn, murdered over 50 Muslims in Christchurch in a mosque. And he had the manifesto, The Great Replacement. That, in turn, inspired Patrick Cruises, who killed 22 people in El Paso, again with guns. And it also inspired a Norwegian gunman who was overpowered as he tried to shoot people in a mosque in Oslo. So, it's spread all around the world. Small groups, but it's spread. And Tarrant inspired this boy, whom we picked up. It is sad, I would say, that it's come to this, the world has come to this, and it's also creeping into Singapore. We can only say, thank goodness, we are not like many other parts of the world. Otherwise, instead of standing before you and saying that we have detained him, I will be saying, I'm very sorry that this has happened. This is another dastardly attack, and people will be putting flowers in memory of those who had been senselessly killed. In our case, we have been able to pick up. It's a state of the world that we are in. And what happened on January the 6th in Washington, many in the right wing see that both as a symbolic victory and a strategic defeat, which they need to learn from. So this is going to be a long battle around the world and in Singapore as well. So we see violence coming out on different sides, and the government stands in the middle. We set our face against any kind of violence. This is why we take a very tough approach to hate speech as well. People sometimes say, why not, Why don't you allow this? Why don't you allow this running down of Muslims or Christians through heavy metal, through other forms? This is why. Hate speech has real-world consequences. When you can demonize somebody, whether through music or through song or through speech, slowly you start thinking of them as something lesser than human. And then they are apart from you. They are Muslims, or they are Christians, or they are Hindus. They are not, you can demonize them, and then you can be violent towards them. You see this happening over and over again around the world. We have set our face against it. Our population has confidence that the government is in the middle, and we protect you, regardless of who you are, whether you are Muslim or Christian or Hindu. You are a human being, and your sexual inclinations don't matter. We protect you, and we make sure that there can be no violence. So that is a guarantee that this government has always given.